generations are you willing to sacrifice? How long will you make girls wait for what you have promised?
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for 10 21st century figures from around the world who have made or are trying to make the world a better place.
So I said I'd become a donor when I turned 18, and so 2 days after I turned 18, I made my first donation.
Number 10. Bryan Stevenson.
I've argued a bunch of cases before the United States Supreme Court, and each time I go, I stand there in front of the court. I read what it says about equal justice under law.
In a world full of big talkers, Bryan Stevenson is a man of action. A civil rights lawyer, he spent decades fighting for those wrongfully convicted, unfairly sentenced, and systemically overlooked. He founded the Equal Justice Initiative to take on that fight. Stevenson has argued before the Supreme Court, challenged racial bias in sentencing, and helped save over 130 people from the death penalty. His work isn't just legal, it's deeply human.
I think it's a flawed logic to say we're going to kill people to show that killing is wrong.
He's dedicated to educating Americans on the legacy of racial injustice through best-selling books, documentaries, and a landmark museum and memorial in Montgomery, Alabama. Stevenson has devoted his life to reshaping how we understand justice and mercy. His mission is simple but revolutionary. Quote, "Each of us is more than the worst thing we've ever done." End quote.
The other things we are create an opportunity to do things that are restorative, that are rehabilitative, that are redemptive.
Number 9. Kailash Satyarthi.
Over 200,000 children are reported missing in India. One man is leading a crusade to find as many as he can.
Kailash Satyarthi didn't just speak out against child slavery, he stormed the doors. A former engineer, he turned to activism and began a crusade to end child labor, trafficking, and abuse in India. Satyarthi has himself helped successful raids liberate children from forced labor.
Nobody talked about trafficking. This phrase was not used because India did not have any law. India still does not have any law against trafficking.
His movement, Bachpan Bachao Andolan, has freed close to 100,000 kids. That's less of a statistic and more of a revolution. Satyarthi doesn't just fight to end child labor, he fights to restore childhood to kids. His work has built schools, sparked global marches, and reshaped laws. In 2014, he shared the Nobel Peace Prize with none other than Malala herself. Where others looked away, Satyarthi kicked the door down, giving thousands of children a second chance.
My only aim in life is that every child is free to be a child.
Number 8. Dr. Paul Farmer. Most doctors treat disease. Paul Farmer treated the systems that let it spread. As co-founder of Partners in Health, he delivered cutting-edge care to the world's poorest communities.
He touched millions of lives, advanced global health equity, and fundamentally changed the way healthcare is delivered in the most impoverished places on Earth.
Countries and communities that had long been written off by the global health establishment received healthcare for the first time. From Haiti to Rwanda, he built clinics and trained local staff. Partners in Health prove that high-quality care is a moral obligation, not a luxury. Farmer's work wasn't about charity, but equity. He challenged how medicine is taught, funded, and delivered. His sudden death in 2022 left a void, but his radical idea endures. Geography should never determine who gets to live.
Today, the nonprofit he co-founded, Partners in Health, is one of the largest in the world. In the past year alone, it provided over 2 million women's health checkups and nearly 3 million outpatient visits to clinics in regions from Africa to Europe and Latin America.
Number 7. Greta Thunberg.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean.
Skipping school was always the purview of slackers, until a 15-year-old in Sweden made it a call to action. Greta Thunberg's solitary climate strike outside the Swedish parliament lit a fire that swept across the world.
What do we want? Climate action! When do we want it? Now!
Millions of students joined her, demanding action in the face of environmental collapse. Armed with facts, fury, and zero patience for empty promises, she stood before presidents, parliaments, and the UN and called them out. Her speeches are clipped, unsparing, and impossible to ignore. Whether you see her as a hero or a thorn in the system's side, one thing is clear. Greta made climate change personal, urgent, and loud.
What one thing would you like them to take away from this? What one thing would you like them to do?
Everyone can make a huge difference. We should not underestimate ourselves.
Number 6, Tarana Burke.
I wanted to pour myself into this moment and tell you why even the possibility of healing or interrupting sexual violence was worth standing and fighting for.
Long before hashtags and headlines, Tarana Burke was helping survivors heal. A civil rights activist and community organizer, Burke coined the phrase "Me Too" in 2006. Back then, she was supporting Black girls and women who had experienced sexual violence through Just Be Incorporated.
But the progress is the fact that these people can be heard and taken seriously. And that didn't happen even 5 years ago.
Over a decade later, the two-word phrase exploded into a global reckoning, empowering millions to speak out. But Burke's work goes deeper than viral moments. She built support systems, led workshops, and challenged institutions to face their failures.
We also try to teach survivors to not lean into their trauma, but to lean into the joy that they curate in their lives instead.
For her, it was less about celebrity and more about solidarity. Tarana Burke didn't just launch a movement, she reminded the world that healing is power and that saying "Me Too" can be the first step toward justice. Number 5, Angela Merkel.
She has been a bulwark of German politics for nearly 2 decades. But after 13 years as chancellor and 18 years as the conservative CDU party leader, Angela Merkel says she's ready to hand over the baton.
In a world of bluster and bombast, Angela Merkel led with restraint, reason, and quiet strength. As Germany's first female chancellor, she steered Europe's largest economy through one crisis after another. She faced financial collapse, a refugee emergency, Brexit, a U.S. president determined to cede global leadership, and a pandemic.
Merkel's advocates say it is her skill as a manager that has defined her premiership, an ability to seek compromise into the wee hours and present a steady hand at the helm during times of crisis.
Where others chased headlines, Merkel built trust. She opened Germany's doors to over 1 million refugees. She championed science during COVID, and she helped keep the European Union from fracturing. Though rarely flashy, her leadership reshaped modern Europe and redefined what power could look like. Steady, principled, and deeply human. Merkel didn't just lead Germany, she became the de facto leader of the free world when others fell short. Number 4, José Andrés.
I was asking people to keep the restaurants open, to feed people in need.
When disaster strikes, Chef José Andrés and his team don't wait for permission, they just show up with a kitchen. The celebrated chef-turned-humanitarian has redefined what disaster relief looks like. His organization, World Central Kitchen, delivers hot meals everywhere from the sites of natural disasters to war zones.
What was the moment that the idea of the World Central Kitchen first came to you? What was the impetus?
I think the moment began really in the moments of inaction, watching what happened in Katrina, when we had thousands of American citizens at the Superdome, and seems nobody was there feeding them.
Earthquakes, wildfires, bombs, if people are hungry, he's there to feed them. He's fed millions in Puerto Rico, Ukraine, Gaza, Maui, and beyond. His strike team is so nimble, they often beat governments and big NGOs to the front lines. Andrés proved that food isn't just nourishment. He's there to bring dignity, comfort, and solidarity to those who are suffering.
We are food nation. We are a humanity of food. Without food, we're nothing.
Number 3, James Harrison.
So I said I'd become a donor when I turned 18, and so 2 days after I turned 18, I made my first donation.
It's not often that an average Joe can say they've saved millions of lives, but that's exactly what James Harrison did, a living cure. After a life-saving transfusion as a teenager, he vowed to pay it forward. For over 60 years, he donated blood nearly every week. But Harrison's wasn't just any blood. It was as close to magic blood as a human can have. His blood contained a rare antibody used to create a treatment for rhesus incompatibility, a condition that can be fatal to newborns. His donations helped develop Anti-D, a shot credited with saving over 2 million babies. Nicknamed the man with the golden arm, Harrison quietly became one of the most impactful donors in medical history.
His family says he passed away at the age of 88, leaving behind a life-saving legacy.
Number 2, Katalin, Karikó and Weissman.
We were both completely open-minded. Any data that we didn't understand, and there was a lot of it, we sat down, we kept doing experiments, we kept getting results, we kept getting excited by the results.
They weren't household names, but their work changed the world. For years, Katalin, Karikó and Weissman toiled in obscurity, refining a technology most researchers had written off: mRNA. They had discovered that you could modify mRNA to safely teach the body to fight disease. It was all an interesting academic exercise until the world faced a once-in-a-century global pandemic.
Katie lit the match, and we spent the rest of 20 plus years working together, figuring out how to get it to work.
As it turned out, Karikó and Weissman's research was the key to fighting COVID-19. Their mRNA research helped churn out vaccines at record speed. Their research saved millions, drastically cut down lockdown times, and saved the global economy. Today, their breakthrough is now reshaping treatments for cancer, HIV, and beyond.
I never sit back and rest on laurels. I'm always moving forward. I'm always moving on to the next disease, the next vaccine, the next therapeutic, and that's just the way I think.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Nadia Murad. She escaped ISIS, turning her trauma into global advocacy for women and girls.
I had to do something. I was thinking that if I tell the world my story, they will act and rescue other women and children.
Boyan Slat. At the age of 18, he invented a system to clean the oceans and founded the Ocean Cleanup.
However, I believe the Great Pacific Garbage Patch can completely clean itself in just 5 years.
Dr. Denis Mukwege. He treats survivors of sexual violence and advocates worldwide for justice and healing.
Avec ces prix Nobel de la paix, j'appelle le monde à être témoin et je vous exhorte à vous joindre à nous pour mettre fin à cette souffrance qui fait honte à notre humanité commune.
Dr. Mona Hanna. She exposed the Flint water crisis and fights to protect children from lead poisoning.
The folks in charge kept saying everything was all right and there was no problems. All the moms and the activists and the journalists and the water scientists were being discredited.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1. Malala Yousafzai.
Conflict and violence in countries like Ethiopia, Ukraine, and other countries are keeping girls like Yelizaveta out of the classroom.
She spoke up for girls' education in Pakistan. When the Taliban tried to silence her with a bullet, they only amplified her voice. Malala Yousafzai not only survived the attack, she became the youngest Nobel Peace Prize laureate in history.
Through it all, Dr. Reynolds notes of her young patient.
I have never seen Malala cry, never. She's incredibly stoical.
In many parts of the world, girls are denied education due to poverty, patriarchy, and extreme violence. Entire communities are robbed of their potential. Educated girls are more likely to lift families out of poverty, lead healthier lives, and transform their societies. From a school bus in Pakistan to the halls of the UN, Malala turned her personal fight into a global movement. Through the Malala Fund, she's helped open classrooms, change laws, and inspire millions. Her message is simple: every girl deserves an education.
When you leave this room today, please ask yourselves, how many more generations are you willing to sacrifice? How long will you make girls wait for what you have promised?
Anyone can change the world, so who do you think deserves a spot on this list? Let us know in the comments below.
Harrison's daughter saying in a statement that her father was very proud to have saved so many lives without any cost or pain.